Good afternoon to everyone. This is a section. We'll have a quick review of the area of free zones under the UAE Corporate. UAE is the home to several free zones which offer ample opportunities for businesses to set up, operate in the country. Free zones in UAE are designated areas which are free in other parts of the country. This makes them an ideal location for businesses looking to operate in UAE. There are many benefits that company can enjoy by setting up a free zone company. These include 100% ownership, tax holidays from corporate taxes and personal income taxes, and no restrictions on currency repatriation. Currently, all free zone persons or all free zone companies are subject to corporate tax. No exemption is provided to any free zone companies. The UAE government provides only tax incentives and benefits to companies and free zone persons. As mentioned by the UAE government intends to honor its commitment to businesses registered in free zones subject to certain conditions. In order to honor the tax benefits for a free zone person, the law introduces the term qualified free zone person. In the corporate tax law, if certain cumulative conditions are met. We will go with the certain definitions which is in zone. Free zone is defined as a designated and defined geographical area within UAE that is specified in the cabinet decision. Again, we'll have to wait for whether all free zones are included in the free zone list or not. Next is free zone person, a juridical person incorporated in a free zone. So only the non-resident person branch is included as a free zone person. Next is on qualifying income. Any income derived by and next is on qualifying free zone person. A free zone person that meets the conditions of Article 18 of this decree law and is subject to certain conditions as specified in Article 3. We will be discussing all these points on later slides, which is starting with qualifying free zone person. As we have discussed, qualifying free zone person would be benefiting from corporate tax incentives offered to a free zone person subject to certain cumulative conditions. The free zone person meeting all of the 5 conditions prescribed in Article 18, which we are discussing now, qualifies to be a qualifying free zone person. And those conditions include maintaining adequate substance by a free zone person. And secondly, free zone person that derives the qualifying income. And third one is free zone person that has not elected to be subject to corporate tax at the rate of 9%. And fourth one is free zone person that needs to comply with transfer pricing requirements as per the UAE Corporate Tax law. And the last one is the free zone person that complies with the conditions and the coming slides. Starting with the first condition, substance and adequate substance. Adequate substance is considered as the most critical part, and substance of the words adequate and substance, which has not been defined in the corporate tax law. As it has not been defined in the published corporate tax law, our view is to consider ESR regulations article number 6 pertaining to economic substance test in relation to any relevant activity. And as per the ESR regulation, certain conditions has to be met to have an adequate substance for a company in the state. Condition number 1 is it be directed and managed in the state. And having related to level of activity, company has to maintain adequate employees, adequate operating expenditure, and adequate physical assets in the state. We are of the view that once these conditions are maintained by a free zone, substance. And moving to next slide, adequate substance again will be considered with directing and managing. Directing and managing to be managed in the state. And direct and managed means it should include adequate number of periodical board meetings to be conducted in the state with the physical quorum of the directors, and records related to board meeting to be maintained physically in its office in the state with its agenda, minutes, resolutions, etc., to be signed by all attendees of the board of directors meeting. An authority may ask for the evidence to prove the physical presence of the directors in the UAE and of the meeting, which can be supported with records related to exit entry, travel. And another most important thing is directors should have necessary knowledge and expertise to manage the business. If necessary, the authority can require the CVs and other details of the persons who is managing the business. And other important one, directed and managed activity, which cannot be outsourced to any third party or an outsourcing provider. So it has to be managed and directed by the company itself. And next condition to have adequate substance is having regard to level of activity, adequate number of full-time qualified staff to be employed physically present in the state, along with adequate operating expenditure and adequate usage of physical assets for core income generating activities. If a free zone person not able to conduct these activities directly, it can use the service of an outsourcing provider by exercising proper monitoring, control, and adequate supervision. And qualified employees expenditure and physical assets in the state of an outsourcing person should be adequate to operate the activities of the free zone person. And the substance of these outsourcing activities, it can be questioned by any authorities at any point of time under their review. It would be an obligation for a free zone person to prove the substance of this outsourced activity. To conclude on the level of activity on adequate substance, as it has not been defined in the law, what we have discussed is out of the ESR regulations. Moving to qualifying income. This definition of qualifying income, which is a looping definition, when we consider the article number 3 and the definition. The cabinet decision is a by the cabinet decision, we have more clarity on the free zone person's income classification. So accordingly, we need to wait for the qualifying income of a free zone person. And we expect qualifying income to be high C sales, intra or inter free zone sales, which could be subject to certain conditions. And we had a public consultation document which had information related to qualifying income. 0% corporate tax will be levied on the income earned by transaction with businesses located outside UAE and from trading with businesses located the same or other free zones. And with regard to a branch in a mainland of a free zone person, it will be taxed at 9% corporate tax rate for its mainland income and 0% for its other income. It is from the public consultation document all issued, but we don't have the information and definition related to qualifying income on our corporate tax law. And moving to election subject to corporate tax. A free zone person that has not elected to be subject to corporate tax at the rate of 9% is one of the conditions to qualify as a qualified free zone person. This election can be made by a free zone person at the commencement of the tax period in which the election is made, or on the commencement of the tax period following the tax period in which the election is made. And moving to next slide, the transfer pricing requirements. A qualifying free zone person needs to comply with all related clauses relating to the transfer pricing in the corporate tax law, which includes all transactions and arrangements with related parties or connected persons are carried out on arm's length terms. And Mr. GB has already covered on the previous session about the transfer pricing. And also we had a webinar available on our YouTube channel. If you are not attended the webinar, we recommend to watch the YouTube to have the more idea on pricing requirements. And the last condition to have to be a qualifying free zone person is another subsequent cabinet decision which can be expected to regulate or exempt the conditions relating to a qualifying free zone person. Once a free zone person comply with these 5 conditions, what we have discussed now, in this free zone person will be able to maintain the status of a qualifying free zone person.